Coming up on Mountain News at 6, Kentucky's Safer Kentucky Act becomes law with tougher penalties for violent crimes. The latest from the last day of the legislative session. And administrators with one southeastern Kentucky school district have installed a new door lock system. More about how this will help improve school safety.
And we are warm in the short term, but a cool down is on the way by this weekend. Your first alert forecast coming up as Mountain News at 6 starts now.
Dedicated to Eastern and Southern Kentucky, this is WYMT Mountain News at 6.
A bill that will change punishment for some crimes and create other statutes will become law in Kentucky. It's called the Safer Kentucky Act, and supporters say it will lead to tougher sentences for those who commit violent acts and create some new definitions for crimes not on the books today. But opponents say it goes too far and will be costly and hurt the most vulnerable. Both sides had events as it became law, with today being the final day of the legislative session. WYMT's Phil Pendleton has more on what took place inside the state capitol.
Supporters of the Safer Kentucky Act crowded on the steps leading up to the Kentucky House Monday as lawmakers scrambled to finish their work for the legislative session.
I've been leading this effort for well over a year. Very, very satisfied to have it passed. I think it's going to have a huge impact for the honest citizens of the state of Kentucky. Among those witnessing the signing by the Secretary of State was the Trout family. Part of House Bill 5 is named in memory of Madeline Trout, who died in a DUI crash after the other driver was released from jail. The bill spells out tougher punishment for repeat offenders or for those who use guns in crimes.
Madeline always wanted to make a change, and we believe that this was the change that she wanted to make. Even though she's not here physically, she's here spiritually.
Not long after supporters celebrated its signing, opponents had their own event in the Rotunda. They say the new law makes it a dark day for the state.
Specifically, I want to be wrong when I tell you that HB 5 will cause irreparable harm to our houseless brothers and sisters.
Some are also pointing to the costs that they say that this bill will bring. They say, simply put, it's going to be too expensive for state and local governments. That's because of the argument it'll be much more expensive to incarcerate criminals based on the tougher penalties imposed in the law.
It's projected that this will cause a financial burden to the Commonwealth in the billions.
The cost is unknown, right? We've seen that in all the reports. But whatever that cost is, it certainly pales in comparison to the actual cost of crime in our state. Baumann says feedback they received showed that the majority of people in Kentucky favor the bill. In Frankfort, Phil Pendleton, WYMT Mountain News.
Kentucky's state legislature must adjourn by midnight tonight. Most high-profile bills that did not pass in the previous 58 days before the veto session also did not garner enough support in these final 2 days. A late word that Dr. Robbie Fletcher has now been confirmed as the state's next education commissioner. After a meeting with the Senate Education Committee last week, the Kentucky Senate approved Fletcher's nomination today. Fletcher had been serving as the superintendent for Lawrence County Schools since 2014. Fletcher will begin his new role as education commissioner on July 1st. Also, late word that an Eastern Kentucky prosecutor is resigning from his post after his arrest Friday. Scott Blair's attorney, Ned Pillersdorf, confirmed Blair's resignation as Commonwealth's attorney for Perry County, effective immediately. A short time ago, we received Blair's resignation letter from Pillersdorf. Attorney General Russell Coleman had called for his resignation last week. Now, this all comes after Blair was accused of doing favors for criminal defendants in return for meth and sexual favors. Pillersdorf also confirmed that Blair has waived his right to a preliminary hearing and will remain in jail for the time being. According to the Lexington Herald Leader, he is charged with honest services wire fraud, and he could get up to 20 years in prison if convicted. We have an update to a story we first told you about last week. We now know the name of a person found dead in Lee County, Virginia. The medical examiner identified the man as 44-year-old Jerry L. Wheat of Ewing, Virginia. Wheat's body was originally found in a wooded area near ATV trails along Valley Springs Road in the Rose Hill community. Kentucky State Police are asking for help finding an inmate who escaped last night in Madison County. KSP says 38-year-old Lewis Jones walked away from the Bluegrass Career and Development Center in Richmond last night. Jones was serving a sentence for theft, criminal mischief, and arson. Anyone with information on Jones can call KSP Post 7 in Richmond at 859-623-2404. We're diving deeper into a federal lawsuit against the University of Kentucky, its athletic director, and 2 former swim coaches. The suit was filed late last week and claims the university allowed former coach Lars Jorgensen to foster a, quote, toxic, sexually hostile environment within the swim program. Kelsey Soto has more.
Lars Jorgensen was UK's head swim coach for 10 years. That was until he resigned in June of last year. In a story first reported by The Athletic, a lawsuit was filed by former swimmer turned assistant coach Briggs Alexander and an unnamed woman. The plaintiffs claim there were credible reports of inappropriate sexual relationships and sexual assaults that the university failed to fully investigate. The suit is 93 pages long and lays out an apparent history of abuse, including alleged incidents that involved Jorgensen dating back to his time in Toledo. The filing claims former head coach Gary Connolly, who led the program from '91 until retirement in 2013, intentionally concealed allegations. Documents detail 5 instances in which Jorgensen allegedly forcibly raped swimmers at his home, including 2 separate occasions after Christmas parties. Court records cite a $75,000 settlement paid to Jorgensen before his resignation, despite time and money left on his contract. A U.S. nonprofit called Safe Sport lists Jorgensen under investigation. It was created 7 years ago to reduce the sexual abuse of athletes, particularly minors, in Olympic sport programs in the U.S. Plaintiffs are looking for compensatory and punitive damages, plus institutional reform and measures of accountability to protect young athletes.
That was Kelsey Soto reporting. We have more about this on our website at WYMT.com. The inaugural Future of Sport Summit was held today at the University of Kentucky. Panelists discussed various topics throughout the day that impact the ever-evolving college sports image. Organizers of the event say the summit gives students the chance to network and hear from experts on topics like sponsorships, multimedia rights, mental health, and sports tech. They say changes in regards to NIL deals and the transfer portal has not only helped athletes, but the schools as well.
So it used to be, powerhouse programs such as, UK basketball. You think about Alabama football, their name and brand alone accounted for a lot. But nowadays, I think NIL has kind of opened the door for other, non-powerhouse schools to have an opportunity to compete for, championship.
Organizers say they hope to hold this summit annually. They say the future of college sports is bright. It's just about being able to adapt to change.
Well, no complaints in the weather office on this Monday. Most of us are dry, sunny, and warm, but maybe a few storms as we go into this evening. Right now, though, not much happening across the region, tracking some blue sky and some sunshine. Also, some very warm weather. Those highs should be in the upper 60s. Most of us, though, in the middle to upper 80s at this hour, up to 86 in Whitley County, up to 85 in Harlan, also for London and Manchester, and 83 for Jackson, also in Pikeville at this hour. So we are well above average, and we stay warm in the short term as well. Up on First Alert Pinpoint Doppler, notice not much going on. However, we are tracking this to our east, a few showers and storms and a few severe thunderstorm warnings. over West Virginia, also pushing into Virginia, and this is all thanks to a boundary close to the Ohio River, and this weather system could spark maybe a few showers and thunderstorms as we go into this evening. Also tonight, not going to be a widespread issue for most of us. We see more dry weather. However, a few showers and storms are possible. We have a level 2 slight risk of severe weather in place for most of the region. That doesn't mean everyone will see severe weather, but a few showers and storms cannot be ruled out as we go into tonight. Those lows are mild back in the middle to lower 60s, and we stay warm once again tomorrow. Also tracking some higher rain chances by Wednesday. Those details coming up in just a few minutes. Steve?
All right, Cameron, thank you. Administrators with Harlan County High School have installed a new door lock system. WYMT's Chandler Wilcox talked with their police chief about how it works.
It is a new safety feature controlling access to the school.
Every exterior entrance and every single classroom at Harlan County High School does have a new lock that is managed electronically and with a key card or key fob.
Administrators can set the keys to different settings depending on the situation in real time.
If we need to revoke someone's access, we can revoke it immediately. If we need to add access, we can add it. We can customize who has access to what doors, what times they have access to what doors. And we can also electronically monitor who's coming and going.
The system also has a lockdown feature in case of an emergency.
That will allow the locks to disable any of the other cards used on there. So if someone did get access to a card some way, then that would not allow that card to use and only allow designated cards that we have available.
School resource officers will also possess keys giving them access to each room. Students can also get a key when needing to leave.
The teachers will have hall passes. These hall passes will have an access card in that as well. So if a student's going to the restroom or having to go to the office or something, they'll be able to let themselves back into that room they came out of.
Cope says administrators can text a key allowing access as well. In Harlan County, Chandler Wilcox, WYMT Mountain News.
Administrators are also planning to install a weapon detection system. Cope says those will be installed in the beginning of May. We have a traffic alert to pass along in Perry County. Transportation cabinet officials say Kentucky 2022 will be closed for much of the day on Thursday. The road from mile point 0.0 and 0.2 will be closed from 8 a.m. till 4 p.m. due to repaving. This is between the Kentucky 484 intersection near Saul and the Owsley County line. Paving will continue on Friday, but the road will be open to traffic.
We are tracking some more dry weather as we go into this evening, but a few showers or storms are possible later tonight. Those details coming up. Plus,
folks gathered in Knott County for a big concert this past weekend. We'll hear from the organizer on how successful it was and the possibility of more events in the future.